Hi, my name is Rick Fernandez. I'm with My Strong Home. My Strong Home is dedicated to finding ways for the homeowner to strengthen their home against storms such as hurricanes, tornadoes, other windstorms, and reduce their risk, their personal risk, their home's risk, and possibly reduce their premiums for insurance. You know, you first think about things such as that you can strengthen, such as the outside of the home, you know, by having shutters, stronger doors, stronger garage doors, maybe a stronger roof, stronger nails, and so forth. And we're going to talk about those in other series. But today, we're going to concentrate about the gable end. And the gable end, when you look at your roof, it looks like an A-frame, like this, okay? It's a lot less strong than a hip roof, which many other people have. With that, let me bring to you James Jackson.
Hey Rick, how you doing?
How you doing?
Thanks for having me here.
Thank you for coming. Hey James, tell me a little bit about the different ways that there are for strengthening a gable end.
There's about 4 different ways that are acceptable. Today we're going to talk about the 2 easiest ways that a do-it-yourselfer can do, and they're very affordable. With the gable end on this house that we did today, there's 3 different gables, and for about $250 worth of material, we're going to brace this gable end. We're going to do it using the bottom end horizontal bracing method and the diagonal bracing method.
Okay, good. So what's so important about a gable end? You know, why is it so weak, you know, they say?
Well, what happens is the bottom end is like a hinge. When the wind goes up against it, it just tends to topple over. Similar to when you're a kid, you play dominoes and you stack up the dominoes, you hit one and they all topple down. Your gable end is the same way. When the wind hits it, it just topples down and hits the other ones.
That's dangerous.
It is, very much.
Well, we're going to take the time today to strengthen at least one of the people that need the strengthening here in Florida, right?
Well, let's go, Rick.
Let's go, let's do it.
Today we're going to talk about 2 of the most simplest ways to brace your gable end against a hurricane. One method we're going to talk about is a horizontal bottom end bracing. The other is a diagonal cross bracing. I want you to know that the attic is about 87 degrees right now. It's very important to do this in a cool part of the day, whether it be in the morning or late afternoon. Make sure you wear a bump cap to protect your head from all these nails that are in the attic. Eye protection for dust that might be in here. You also want to have a respirator. Most attics have insulation that's floating around and dust. This particular attic has been cleaned so that we can give you a thorough demonstration. You also want to make sure that you have plenty of water so you can stay hydrated. That's very important inside the attic. Make sure you protect your hands against splinters and so forth. What we're going to demonstrate now is how to do the most simplest way to brace your gable end. It's called the bottom end horizontal bracing. It involves putting a piece of 2x4 against the gable end and this first cord of your truss, and it's going to be followed by a 2x4 by 8 foot length. You simply slide the 2x4 over top, butt it against the gable end, and secure it. Here, 2 nails or 2 screws, and it's going to be screwed into each one of the truss members. You can either screw it with some 3-inch deck screws, or I'm going to use a pneumatic nailer. This can be rented from any do-it-yourself warehouse. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to measure so I can see what the distance is between the first cord and the gable end. In this particular case, we're going to need 21 3/4 inches. Now I've already pre-cut this piece of wood, so we're going to go ahead and demonstrate how to do that. And then we simply lay a 2x4 across the top of that, and we secure that on the top of here. Secured at the gable end. The top of that 2x4 brace that you did, in the top of each one of the cords, 2 nails minimum.
James just took you through the physical steps on how to install the horizontal bottom end bracing. However, there are some details that merit further attention. So let's take a moment and review these steps. You need to measure the length of the 2x4 brace that is being installed between the gable end and the first truss. In our case, it was 21 3/4 inches. Once you have cut the 2x4 outside the attic to the correct length, bring it to the attic along with a full 8-foot piece of 2x4. Take the short 2x4 and install it between the gable end and the first truss. To secure it, use 16D ring-shanked nails or 3-inch deck screws, or a pneumatic nailer with 16D ring-shanked nails at the back of the first truss and screw or nail in a horizontal direction. Now install the 8-foot-long 2x4 over the brace you just installed. This 2x4 must go butted against the gable end and overlap the gable end roof truss bottom cord or ceiling joist. Using the same type of screws or nails, secure the 2x4 in place with a minimum of 2 screws or nails in each cord. Start at the gable end and continue until the entire 8-foot length has been finished. To properly secure the gable end, one horizontal brace is not enough. You must space out these braces every 4 feet across the width of the attic. It's a good idea to measure and cut all the small pieces at the same time outside the attic to reduce the amount of time you're in the attic itself.
What we're going to talk about now is another simple method called diagonal cross bracing. What it is simply an X going across one side of the truss and the other side of the truss. One's going to brace the top end of the gable, one the bottom end of the gable. You must straddle 4 pieces of the cross bracing within the truss work. So it has to go to the gable end, 1, 2, 3, 4. It could be 8 foot, it could be 10 foot, depends on the dimensions of your attic. We're going to demonstrate now how to mark the proper angle for this diagonal bracing. As you can see, I put a bracket here to hold this in place so I can work hands-free. Now I simply go down to the end and I mark it with my pencil or my pen. Now we're going to show you how to attach the diagonal bracing. If you notice, I've added a piece of vertical 2x4 here, so I will have something to attach this diagonal brace to. I'm going to nail it here with either a 3-inch screw or number 16D nails. I'm going to nail 2 here and on each one of the vertical members of the truss work. Now we can remove the clamp since we've secured the cross bracing and secure it at the gable end. We're going to show you now bracing the opposite side using the diagonal cross bracing. As you can see, it's braced at the top. I've used the bar clamp again to hold it in place so I have hands-free operation, and I simply secure it just like I did the other side. So that concludes how to brace your gable end using the most economical and do-it-yourself methods. The bottom end horizontal bracing and the cross bracing, the diagonal cross bracing. As you can see, it's relatively hot in the attic. You want to make sure you're here early in the morning or late in the afternoon.
The cross bracing method of strengthening your gable end is a little bit more complicated, but it is still a job that most homeowners can do. Just to make sure that you get this right, let's review the steps. The first step is to prepare the gable end to receive the cross bracing. Most gable end frames are often covered with galvanized metal connectors interfering with your ability to nail into the top and bottom side of the vertical center cord. Therefore, it is easier to cut 2 24-inch pieces of 2x4 to be used to provide an easy way to nail the cross bracing members into the gable end. Using the same size nails or screws we used in the horizontal bracing method, install the 2 2x4s, one at the top of the vertical center cord and one to the bottom. Now take your 2x4, either 8 foot or 10 foot in length depending on the frame spacing in your attic, and clamp it at a 45-degree angle, one side at a time, and mark it or your cut as was shown by James. Cut the lumber outside the attic according to your angled mark. Then install the first cross brace by clamping it in the center and nailing it with the same nails or screws into the 24-inch 2x4 at the top of the vertical center cord, and continue nailing the cross brace in a 45-degree angle downward with 2 nails into the center cord of each of the trusses until you have a total of 4 connections made. Repeat this process on the opposite side, starting at the bottom of the vertical center cord, and continue in a 45-degree angle upward to install the cross brace. So what did you think of that? I thought that was fantastic. I thought that I could do this myself. I'm sure you can too. For $250, I can reduce my insurance costs and I can make my strong home stronger. I think that now you've got to remind you, use your safety devices that James mentioned to you. Also, for a copy of this DVD or others in the My Strong Home series, such as My Strong Openings, My Strong Hurricane Straps, My Strong Roof, please contact us at support@mystronghome.com or go to our website at www.mystronghome.com or call 877-4-HOME-60. That is 877-446-6360 and then extension 1. Thank you.